Welcome back to the episode of the DFS Express presented by Loudmouth MMA and MMAtoday.com. I'm your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, here to talk UFC 220, Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou, Daniel Cormier, Volkan Ozdemir. Those are your main and co-main events. Had a bit of a rough week in last week's episode. Looking to bounce back here. It's a really good card. At the end of this episode, we'll do a lineup builder for large field tournaments, your GPPs again, and fight by fight, DraftKings specific breakdowns. Again, I want to stress that not always who I think is going to win the fight straight up, but who's the better DraftKings play. That comes into effect really right with the main event. Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic. Ngannou's 8,900, Miocic is 7,300. Ngannou, even if you think he's going to win, 8,900, the way he scores with these big one-punch knockouts in the first round. He could score 100 points. Great. At 8,900, that might not get you on the optimal lineup. It probably won't. You probably need 110, 120. I don't know how likely he is to do that even if he wins the fight. Whereas if Stipe wins at 7,300, he's definitely going to pay off his salary and almost for sure will end up on the optimal lineup. You're getting a great price for a champion at 7,300. I personally don't know enough about Ngannou on the ground. You really can't. Is he going to be like Derek Lewis, try to just muscle people up? Will Stipe go to his wrestling? Does he land? There's a lot of intangibles. I'm going to take the price savings here, especially for the reason I mentioned, ending up on an optimal lineup. Even if Ngannou lands a one-punch knockout, he might not end up on that winning lineup. I like Stipe for tournaments. Not a stackable cash game fight is this main event. So Miocic is actually my preferred play at 7,300. Daniel Cormier, 9,200. Volkan Ozdemir, 7,000. I've been wrong about Ozdemir every step of the way, and I'm going to keep picking against him. I don't think he can do it again. Cormier should just ragdoll him around 9,200. The wrestling upside is there if it goes a distance. I like the price on Cormier. It's hard to be in love with 9,200, but he could pay it off with the wrestling upside. And Ozdemir is just a light heavyweight, is thin. That's why he's here. He's got a couple just fluky knockouts over Serkinov and Manoa. Taking DC here, the one worry is that John Jones knockout. Are we finally going to start seeing his chin deteriorate? I hope not. I don't think so. Cormier is the play at 9,200. Shane Burgos, 8,400. Calvin Kattar, 7,800. I like Burgos in this one. I think the speed advantage is really going to play into Burgos' favor. Kattar had his fight against Feely where he was able to counter a bunch. I picked Kattar in that fight. I just think the speed, he's not going to be able to effectively counter Burgos because of the speed. Burgos hits hard, could get a finish. Shane Burgos is my preferred play at 8,400. Jean Vellante, 8,800. Frank Bahoso, 7,400. This is a rough fight. I don't think either one of these guys are really good. Vellante is probably the better DraftKings play at 8,800 because if he wins, it needs to be a first-round knockout. He has good striking. He does. As much as I'm going to shit on him, which I will in a second, Vellante has good striking for as long as the cardio lasts. He could knock out Bahoso. I think that's the most likely outcome. Bahoso, though, or Vellante, has terrible cardio. If it goes past the first round, he's going to gas, and Bahoso could take over. How much volume he'll get from there, he doesn't need it to pay off 7,400 if he wins a decision. But again, the most likely outcome is Vellante in the first round, 8,800, but it has to be the first round. So it's a high-risk, high-reward spot here. Thomas Almeida, 8,200. Rob Font, 8,000. Buckle up. These bantamweights are going to just throw down, swing until someone falls. Almeida is a little more composed in those firefights from what I've seen, so I'll take Almeida. But either one of these guys could land a knockout. If it goes the distance, which I don't think it will, but if it ends up being a cautious strikers battle, they both respect each other's power, maybe it's low output. I kind of think you need one of these guys in GPPs, but I wouldn't go all in. And Almeida's my preferred play because I think he stays more composed in firefights. Kyle Bochniak, 8,100. Brandon Davis, 8,100. Fight priced evenly. It is just about even in the odds. I like Brandon Davis because Kyle Bochniak should be 0-3 in the UFC and shouldn't be in the UFC. He won a weird split decision against Henrique Barzola that he shouldn't have won. Brandon Davis coming off of his performance on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. I know Frivola last week burned me from that show, but Davis just comes forward, he throws, he's a little more technical, and Bochniak fights closer, and I don't think that he's going to be able to find his rhythm. I think Davis pressures forward, throws volume, maybe gets a finish. I just think he's the better fighter. Bosniak could be his last go around in the UFC. He is fighting at home, so it's something to take into consideration, but Davis is my preferred play at 8,100. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, 9,000. Sabah Hamasi, 7,200. I'm really struggling with this fight. Excuse me. Struggling with this fight because we saw it play out once before, and Al Hassan was gassed. He was shot, gets a flash, knocked down, not a knockout, but a flash knockdown of Hamasi. Herb Dean jumps in too early. Might have won that fight anyway, but Hamasi was finding plenty of success in the feet. Did Al Hassan overestimate him the first time? There's a lot of intangibles. I bet Al Hassan the first time. I find myself a little more cautious here because of that cardio and the success Hamasi had in the feet. I'm going to say you could play either. I'll take Hamasi as my preferred play just for the price savings, and I think he's going to be really under-owned. I want to look more, see who's popular this week. If I think he's going to be at 5 or 10%, I'll have some more Hamasi, try and be overweight to the field. But I'm a little just worried about the gas tank of Al Hassan. He should win the fight, but price-wise and maybe game theory-wise, I'll say Hamasi is my preferred play at 7,200. Alexandre Pantoja, 8,500. Dustin Ortiz, 7,700. Dustin Ortiz has become kind of a gatekeeper, very cliche, but that's what he is. Pantoja looks good striking. He can grapple some. It's a matter of how good is he. This is a real measuring stick type of fight for him. I'll take Pantoja because I think he can be better. I think he can be one of the elite at 125. I don't know if he's a future champion. I'm interested to see what he has here. I think he has all the tools to beat Dustin Ortiz. So I'll take Pantoja, but if the best Dustin Ortiz shows up, he's a very dangerous fighter who could get it done. But I'll take Pantoja at 8,500. Julio Arce against the Danimal I. Two guys coming off a Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. I'll take I because I like grapplers. Grappler at 7,600. Arce is the much better striker. The Danimal, really suspect striking. But Arce isn't great. He has some holes there. I think if he wins, it'll be takedown based, and that's why the price tag at 7,600 is really interesting. So he's my preferred play. Henrique Barzola, 8,700 against Matt Bissett, 7,500. Northeast guy. I watch CES. I like Matt Bissett. I feel good for him getting the call on short notice. Henrique Barzola should be 4-0 in the UFC, and since that weird split decision loss to Kyle Bosniak, he has gone to his wrestling and left no doubt. 16 takedowns in 2 fights. Bissett, I don't know if he can stop the takedowns. I'm not saying Barzola is going to be a world beater, but against this level of competition, I think he gets the takedowns. I think the short notice really wears him. Bissett questions his cardio. I read somewhere he was thinking about hanging them up before he got this call to finally make his UFC debut. Again, wrestling-based decision. I'll take Henrique Barzola. Islam Makhachev, 9,100. Gleison Tibau, 7,100. I like Makhachev because I like those Sambo guys in the takedowns. They score well. Gleison Tibau hasn't fought in over a year, coming off a USADA suspension. 50 pro fights. I know he was able to stop the takedowns of Nurmagomedov. I get it, but then Nurmagomedov outstruck him. So I think Makhachev is pretty safe to win this fight, and if it goes his way with the takedowns, which that's not a guarantee, I will concede. I'm much more confident in Makhachev winning straight up than I am in him paying off his price, but because he's a Sambo-based fighter, he is definitely my preferred play at 9,100. Okay, flipping over to our DraftKings lineup. Again, we're going to build for a tournament, so not necessarily safe plays. Want to be a little different, score highly. So I'm going to sort by salary this week. Start off there. Start at the top, Daniel Cormier, Islam Makhachev for the first two, is the first decision you really have to make here. Maybe you can fit in both. It's likely you can if you pay all the way down for a guy like Miocic, who I mentioned in the open, or Sabah Hamasi. You probably could get both of these guys in. For now, I'm going to stick to one. I'm going to take DC. I know he's the most expensive fighter on the card, but I think he's even safer than Makhachev to score highly, even though I definitely think they both win their fight. Hopefully I didn't just jinx them with a little bit of a run I've been on, but we'll take Cormier. Going down here, Barzola's got a lot of grappling upside. I think he's pretty safe. I'm really high on him this week, so he'll be my second pick in this lineup. Burgos, while I like, he needs a knockout. Skip down for a little bit. I think this Brandon Davis Kyle Bochniak fight is going to go pretty under-owned, and even though he's just a striker, Davis is relatively high output, and I don't think Bochniak is good. He should be 0-3 in the UFC, so I'll put in Davis. You always need at least one underdog here. The ones I'm looking at are Miocic, Hamasi. I could put in, I took Almeida earlier. I don't want to do Font. I'm going to take Dan I here, again, because it's grappling based. If he wins, I think he scores well. And again, the undercard fights are just usually not owned as highly. Now I can fit in a couple of favorites, or at least one favorite. I think I'm going to need at least one more dog for this lineup we're building. So my next favorite dog is Miocic or Hamasi. I'm going to take Miocic again because I think Ngannou will be so popular with the public. I'll take Stipe, and then I can pay all the way back up here for Islam Makhachev. I'm really liking this lineup a lot. This is actually, I've built a couple personal lineups before this video. This is one option. Cormier, Barzola, Davis, Miocic, Makhachev. I know I'm running a little long this week, but I want to go through another option with the core of Cormier, Barzola, Stipe, and Makhachev. You could take out and you can plug in Shane Burgos, and then go all the way down to Sabah Hamasi, who I think could be really under-owned. I want some more ownership on this one, but this is another option. So it's Cormier, Barzola, Stipe, Makhachev. Option 2 is Burgos and Hamasi, and the lineup we initially built here, I'll put back in, is Brandon Davis and Dan I. So that is what we built this week, guys. Please follow me on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. Like this episode wherever you're watching, listening, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers relatively soon. It's the DFS Sniper. Thanks for your support. Good luck in your contest. Feel free to talk to me on Twitter, and I will talk to you next week.